Welcome, everybody, to the Disney List. We are live, and it is a nice holiday weekend. Hope you're doing well. And if you're watching or listening to us in the future, we hope that you're having a great Memorial Day. Kristen?
Yes.
Yes. Yes.
Yes, we want everybody to have a great Memorial Day.
Want everybody to absolutely try to enjoy yourself, try to remember all of our great heroes that have come before us to help this great country remain free. We also and paid the ultimate sacrifice. And we'd also like for you to like, share, and subscribe to our program every time you see us go live. Click that little bell for notifications when we go live on Facebook. We even have our YouTube page up and running, and all of our podcast streams available at the very best podcatchers around. And we'd also like to say thank you, Lindsay, for being our top fan. And you can also help the cause because, like Lindsay, she helped us out through our support this show link.
She's part of the Rebel Alliance.
She is part of the Rebel Alliance and is not a spy. And she is definitely helping us along. And you can donate in monthly increments as well. And we're going to try to provide some really great special programs and shows. And Lindsay, we want to invite you to become a contributor to the show. If you have a topic you want us to talk about, please let us know because you are our top fan. And so we appreciate that. So contribute in that way. The other way you can support the show, other than clicking our Amazon link that I'm going to put in the show notes, is by booking your next Disney, Marvel, Universal trip cruise with Kristen. And, you may be in this quarantine with the family and watching and listening to Sorcerer Radio, watching all the trip planning videos that you might want to sit down as a family and plan, because planning is a great part of the experience of the vacation. And when you're ready to do that, Kristen is ready to help you. Kristen, where can people reach you? Because you are also a travel guru.
Yes, they can email me at themeparksandcruises@gmail.com because they can book Disney, Universal Orlando, and any cruise.
That's right. Now, Universal City Walk has recently opened, and they're getting ready to open that up, and they're getting ready to open up. Disney Springs is already opening. Mm-hmm. And so we may do a bonus show for you later on this week about some, I guess, more places will be opening up and give you a list of things that you must know before you go. So be on the lookout for that. I know Dining at Disney is probably going to do a show with Park Hopper Sid in regards to some, I guess, the menus and different things that they've altered there at Disney Springs.
Yeah, Park Hopper Sid from WDW Park Hoppers. Her and I are going to do a bonus episode of Dining at Disney this week just to talk about some of the changes that you can expect when visiting a restaurant in Disney Springs and to kind of make your planning a little bit easier for you.
All right. Sounds good. Without any further ado. So Kristen, where can people get in touch with you once again?
At themeparksandcruises@gmail.com.
Excellent. So plan your vacation, save a lot of time and hassle, save money, and have fun on your next Disney vacation by booking with this young lady right here. Right now, let's launch into the show.
The following is a production of the Sorcerer Radio Network.
Fun imagination, huh?
Ladies and gentlemen,
Broadcasting from the Tiki Room Studios in Music City, it's the Disney List. The Disney List.
You've got to have characters that the audience, the viewer, the reader cares about.
What makes a hero? What's friendship? What's the idea of sacrificing yourself for something larger?
With the hope that it will be a source of joy and inspiration to all the world.
The Disney List on Sorcerer Radio with your hosts, Kristen and Aljon.
Welcome to the show, boys and girls, children of all ages, with the music of the replay heroes in the background. I'm Aljon Go, lifelong Disney, Marvel, and Star Wars fan, joined by the hostess with the mostest, Kristen from diningatdisney.com. Hello, Kristen.
Hello, Aljon.
All right. If you're listening to us on Sorcerer Radio, thank you so much for tuning in to our show every single week. Don't forget, We are hanging out in Facebook. That's where you can reach us. Facebook.com/The Disney List.
We're in Facebook.
We're in it. We're in it. We're on it. We're inside it sometimes. We're rolling around. That's what we do. Every week we give you the best lists, top 10s, the fivers, the top 5. And we list various Disney, Marvel, and Star Wars things. Last week we had a great list. We were talking about the Muppets and some great Muppet stuff. Now, isn't it cool? The Muppets are having a show on Disney Plus.
Very nice.
It's going to be nice. So,
but you know what? Today, it is not a top 5. It is a top 10.
It is a huge top 10 list. And what are we talking about, Kristen?
Top 10 Star Wars live action movie moments. So that means 11 movies to choose.
That is. It's
10.
A lot of movies. Now, because they are live action movies, The Mandalorian doesn't count.
Yes, because it's not a movie.
But there are some awesome moments in The Mandalorian, are there not?
Yes, there are.
That's right. Do you have a favorite Mandalorian moment?
Well, I said this before, the nurse droid saving Baby Yoda.
Yeah, IG-12, I think, is saving Baby Yoda. Yeah, absolutely.
The child.
The child. This is the way.
I really want them to give him either a name or let us know what species he is, because I hate just calling him either Baby Yoda or the child.
Yeah, we don't know. No one knows yet. Dave Filoni knows. Dave Filoni knows.
Of course, Dave knows.
Dave knows everything. He does. So we're going to talk about the live action. And with 9 Saga films that are part of canon, there are so many great scenes. It's hard to just limit them by one.
You said 9, 11. You
well,
gotta put Rogue One.
That's right. Well, I said Saga.
Oh.
Did I not?
I don't think you did.
Okay,
Maybe you
9
did,
Saga
and I didn't
films.
catch it.
Okay, 9 Saga films plus the 2 other live action. And Kristen is correct because there is what movies?
Han Solo.
Yep. There's Solo, A Star Wars Story, and
Rogue One.
That's right. So that's a lot of scenes to choose from in a top 10. But we're going to do our very best. We're also going to take, I guess, some of your listener, viewer feedback here. I think some people had replied to this post that I made earlier over the weekend. So we're going to see what's going on there. But before we get started, let's play a little bit of this George Lucas action. Now, George always loves to talk about Star Wars. He loves to talk about things. So I tell you what, let's talk a little bit about what George is up to and see what he says about Star Wars. I'm trying to find the clip here. It's not helping me. Where did Star Wars and the impetus of Star Wars all begin?
What was the beginning?
I would say probably the original impetus for the whole thing was I used to watch a serial on television called Adventure Theater, and they had Flash Gordon Conquers the Universe on it, and I used to love that. So I went off and wrote my own space opera and developed the story and took it to United Artists that had the first rights to it. They said no, they didn't want it, and then I took it to Universal because I just finished American Graffiti, and they said no, they didn't want it. And finally took it to 20th Century Fox, and Alan Knight Jr. said, I'm interested. He said, I don't understand this, but I loved American Graffiti, and whatever you do is okay with me. Because otherwise I don't think it would have ever gotten done. Because it was crazy. You know, spaceships and Wookiees and robots, and it was just unlike anything that had ever been seen before.
Tell me about that first script. Now, did you try to tell the whole story in one script?
Well, at that point, it wasn't the whole story. I wrote a script, and the script was very ambitious. It told a very large story. And when I finished it, I realized that it was way too big to make into a movie.
You know, funny thing about this, you think, a lot of people think he had it all planned out. And the fact of the matter is he didn't have it all planned out. I think he was lucky, and he's gone on record as saying this about the franchises. He was lucky if he even made it out alive with this first movie.
Oh, yeah. I mean, that's there was no way for anybody to know it was going to be the hit that it became.
Mm-hmm. And because of George Lucas, much like Walt Disney before him, he invented a lot of technology that really upped the game in terms of film and special effects. Without George Lucas, you wouldn't have THX sound. You wouldn't have the crazy matte painting. Well, not the matte painting. Matte paintings have been around, but I guess the what was it? The different camera effects that they would have in the films in terms of the special effects and compiling scenes and different blue screen techniques that they've done. I mean, it's absolutely crazy what they've done. Much like Ub Iwerks did for Walt Disney in the multiplane camera, he did something very similar with matte effects and paintings that are much more laborious, look a lot better than, you know, some of the stuff they did in Star Trek back in the 60s, you know? So at any rate, what a pioneer George Lucas is. So we are going to take a quick break and we'll be back with Star Wars and what's going on in our top 10 live action moments.
Hi, I'm Andy Secombe. I played Watto in 2 of the Star Wars movies. You're listening to Sorcerer Radio.
Okay, and remember, no money, no parts, no deal.
Number 4.
Oops.
And today we'll be counting down the top.
I'm like all over the dang place. This is what I meant to play. There we go. We're back on the show. Counting them down. Our top 10 Star Wars live action scenes. And there are so many to choose from. There are just way too many to choose from, but we did it. And yes. And I am having to flip through all of these special effects in order to make sure that we get it right. Right, R2? Thank you, R2. All right. So Kristen, let's get into it. How about our number 10 scene?
Now, we should say these are not in any particular order.
Are you kidding me?
They are?
No, I put them in order.
Oh, I didn't realize you had an order.
I had an order.
Well, I didn't have an order, so okay.
Well, we're going to start with an order.
Okay, let's start with this one.
The time has come. Execute Order 66.
Yes, my lord.
So sad. So sad indeed. Order 66. Can you believe it?
10.
Number 10 moment for this week. And I think when you're now you and I had seen these movies in the theater. Did you not?
Yes, I did see these.
Did you?
I did not see the original trilogy, but I saw the other trilogies in the movie theater.
Yes.
There are too many of them. What are we going to do?
Isn't this sad? Look at the flowers, kiddo. Look at the flowers. So sad. Order 66. This is when the Emperor decides that he is going to extinguish all of the Jedi and turn the clone army against the Jedi and then hunt them all down. And this is where Luke heads to the temple and decides he wants to take out the younglings.
Luke didn't do that.
And did I say Luke? I mean Anakin. Anakin. You see, that's why you're here. I'm running a lot of things here. So, yeah, that's crazy. By the way, Lindsay says in the chat, would love to have an imagination like George. Wouldn't we all? We had that kind of imagination. It's the follow through that he really excelled at. Look at that.
I would think my imagination, if I was to make a movie, would be more like Stephen King's imagination.
Is that right?
Yeah, I would definitely. Mine would have to be horror movies. I would have to do horror movies.
Definitely very dark.
I have a very good imagination for dark things.
It is very dark. Okay. Well, speaking of dark, how about this next scene?
Number 9.
give yourself to the dark side. It is the only way you can save your friends. Yes, your thoughts betray you. Your feelings for them are strong, especially for sister. So, you have a twin sister.
Oops. Your thoughts betrayed you, Luke. You know? I mean, it was just a few minutes earlier that he just found out that there was another hope. That Princess Leia, depends on if you're Lando or not, how you say that. You've got a sister. What did you think initially when you heard the news, when you saw that Luke Skywalker and Princess Leia were actually related?
Me?
Yes, you.
I don't remember what I thought. I mean, I was a kid. I don't remember. I'm sorry.
I remember as a kid thinking to myself, but in the last movie, they kissed on the lips. Let that sink in for a minute. That was crazy. They didn't know at the time.
That's true. They did not know.
But at any rate, yeah, crazy. Absolutely crazy. And, who knew that, that's all it took for Luke to get triggered. The entire time he's like, hiding because the Emperor wanted him to strike him down and become his next apprentice.
Your feelings have now betrayed her too. Obi-Wan was wise to hide her from me. Now his failure is complete.
Awesome.
If you will not turn to the dark side, then perhaps she will.
And then the epic battle ensues. And I remember seeing that too for the first time going, oh my goodness, that is just absolutely crazy. Because he just goes off on Darth Vader to the point where he just knocks him down and hits him in the shoulder and then lops his hand off. Absolutely crazy. Okay, so here we are.
Number 8.
This is something that I think you actually lobbied for.
You have hibernation sickness.
I can't see.
Your eyesight will return in time.
Where am I?
Jabba's palace.
Who are you?
Someone who loves you.
Well.
How about that? You
okay,
like
that little,
moment, don't you?
I just don't like, I like the point of her rescuing him, but then it just kind of gets ruined a little bit with the someone who loves you.
The whole romantic part.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't need romance in my action movies.
What does your shirt say?
I don't need rescuing.
Clearly Han needed rescuing.
Exactly.
But no one had to rescue Princess Leia. She was just all fine and dandy. In the first movie, she was not a damsel in distress. That was a great thing about Princess Leia, is that even though she was locked up, she held her own. She held her own against Darth Vader, and she wasn't afraid to die for her cause. She was really the progenitor of every kind of, female, cinematic kickback person. She was more Captain Marvel than Captain Marvel. Let that sit in. Let that sit in for you.
I'm not going to make a comment about Captain Marvel. We'll leave that for another show.
How about this one? Well, speaking of Leia and Han, let's talk about Han Solo. And by the way, if you didn't know, spoiler warning, shame on you if you haven't seen these movies, because they are all on Disney Plus. There's no reason why you shouldn't if you're listening to this show in any kind, right? They've only been out forever.
If you haven't watched these already, chances are you're never going to ever watch them.
God. Oh, I feel sorry for you. Do we still know people that haven't watched these?
Yes, we do.
Unbelievable. Where are we now, Kristen? You know
We
what
are
number-
number 7, right?
Number 7.
How about this? Speaking of Han Solo, this is our first moment from the sequel trilogy. Now let's back up the truck for a minute. Just by listening, do you know the scene?
If you've seen the movie even once, you know what scene this is.
Exactly.
I know what I have to do, but I don't know if I have the strength to do it. Will you help me?
Yes, anything.
And then the craziness. Okay, it hurts. It still hurts.
Thank you.
I mean, that was cold-blooded. We're, of course, referring to the shish kebabbing of Han Solo.
The best was Chewie's reaction.
Chewie's the best.
Chewie and Rey, just they're
a good team.
distressed.
Yes. I mean, just like a sack of potatoes going down. Poor Han Solo. And then Leia feels it. There's a disturbance in the Force. It's like play-by-play here. This is crazy. And then Chewie goes just off. Chewie's ready. The Wookiee roars. Wounds Kylo Ren. And then craziness ensues. That scene, pretty awesome. Pretty awesome there. And I think people left the theater and they still were kind of befuddled by what they saw. I don't think they thought for a moment that, unless you read spoilers beforehand, that Han Solo was going to kick the bucket like that. Right?
Isn't that what Harrison Ford wanted though?
Oh, Harrison Ford wanted the character to be killed off in the second movie when he was frozen in carbonite the first time, because he thought his character arc was over. There was nothing left to do.
Little did he know.
I know, right? Money changes everything.
That's true.
It does. It changes everything. Let us move on to our next
Number 6.
Kristen, you want to talk about this scene here?
Yes, because this is one I picked.
Yes.
This is from The Rise of Skywalker. Kylo Ren giving up his life in order for Rey to live.
And you said you weren't a romantic.
I'm not, but that's a cool scene.
It is a cool scene. Absolutely. You know, the thing was, I think a lot of people didn't think that Jedi power of transferring one's life force was actually a thing. And they've written about it, different video games, different novels. So if you read that stuff, you know that there's a lot more force abilities than were ever put on screen before. So when people saw that, it's like, what? Like, I didn't realize that was a thing, that they could heal themselves. Because earlier in the movie, I think it was Rey that ended up healing that serpent underneath the ground, right? And you're like, oh, that's a thing. And then, so yeah, there was a bunch of just stuff that people didn't equate or didn't, or like, This is new. I don't get it.
I like that moment because you have the bad guy doing something good.
Yes. And he turns good. He redeems himself in the end.
Mm-hmm.
He's, for all the things bad that he's done, there is still chance for you to do good. Now, that doesn't erase the fact that you are a bad person, but you can do good. You can
It
change.
shows exactly that you can change.
You can change. You can change and see the light. So how about, I think we're on our halfway point.
Number 5.
How about this scene right here? This is the only scene from a great film, Rogue One. That's your favorite Star Wars film.
It is.
Right? And this leads us right into A New Hope. This is the end of Rogue One, where the Tantive is being boarded. Is it the Tantive? It's attempting to be boarded by Darth Vader. And he basically...
they're all like, what is this crazy thing coming at me?
This was so great because it really proved how powerful Darth Vader really was. Because you got the sense from the original film that, he could force choke people, the original trilogy, but this showed off how awesome he was at the lightsaber, right? I mean, that's Anakin right there.
Thank you, Ray Park, for your skills in lightsaber choreography.
It looks so good.
He did choreograph all that, right?
I think so.
That's what I thought.
I think so. And look how cool that is, man. You hoped that you would see something that would basically dovetail Rogue One with A New Hope, and then you have it. And then the scene to follow with Princess Leia afterwards was just like, it was really emotional. It was a good scene. It's something that you didn't know you wanted until you got it, and then you just wanted more of it. Right?
Right.
Rogue One, what a great movie that was. Speaking of great scenes, great movies, if you're just tuning in, this is the Disney List on Sorcerer Radio. Thank you so much for tuning into the program. We're at our halfway point.
We're past the halfway point.
We are past the halfway point. We're up to our top 4. We'll be right back in just a minute.
The Disney List.
Hi, I'm Ashley Eckstein, Ahsoka Tano of Star Wars The Clone Wars, and you're listening to Kristen and Aljon on Sorcerer Radio. Star Wars The Clone Wars, and you're listening to Kristen and Aljon on Sorcerer Radio.
All right. There you go. We got the double dose of Ashley right there. So here we are. We are at
number 4.
And here is something that you absolutely love.
Yes, this is my favorite scene in all the movies. Even though this is not my favorite. What this scene comes from is not my favorite movie.
Yeah, Dave Filoni recently discussed Duel of the Fates in a little bit of the behind the scenes of The Mandalorian. Here's what he had to say regarding the hero's journey in Duel of the Fates.
Prequels, I thought, were almost an impossible task. How do you tell the story that we've all grown up with, imagining who Anakin Skywalker was? You saw so many things in Phantom Menace that you just imagined, like the Jedi Council, and none of it really was what I had expected. But I know now that that's just like how creative George is. Like, he just sees it differently, and he's laying it down. And I love the lightsaber fight with Darth Maul, not because it's a lightsaber fight, but because George is so good at crafting why that fight's important every time. Like, the Obi-Wan Darth Vader fight isn't like the most wonderfully staged necessarily combat that you're ever going to see, but there's so much at stake. It's so meaningful when Obi-Wan dies that we all feel like Luke. In Phantom Menace, you're watching these two Jedi in their prime fight this evil villain. Maul couldn't be more obviously the villain. He's designed to look evil, and he is evil, and he just expresses that from his face all the way out through the type of lightsaber he fights with. What's at stake is really how Anakin's going to turn out. because Qui-Gon is different than the rest of the Jedi, and you get that in the movie. And Qui-Gon is fighting because he knows he's the father that Anakin needs, because Qui-Gon hasn't given up on the fact that Jedi are supposed to actually care and love, and that's not a bad thing. The rest of the Jedi are so detached and they've become so political that they've really lost their way. And Yoda starts to see that in the second film. But Qui-Gon is ahead of them all. And that's why he's not part of the council. So he's fighting for Anakin. And that's why it's the duel of the fates. It's the fate of this child. And depending on how this fight goes, Anakin is his life is gonna be dramatically different. So Qui-Gon loses, of course. So the father figure, because he knew what it meant to take this kid away from his mother when he had an attachment, and he's left with Obi-Wan. Obi-Wan trains Anakin at first out of a promise he makes to Qui-Gon, not because he cares about him. When they get Anakin, when they find him on Tatooine, he says, why do I feel like we've found another useless life form? He's comparing Anakin to Jar Jar.
Isn't that crazy? He compares Anakin to Jar Jar, another useless life form. It's true. It's true. You know, Obi-Wan could not be bothered, but yet there's Qui-Gon. Qui-Gon, probably the most, important, character, one of the most important characters of the prequel trilogy. And it disappointed me to see him get, snuffed out like that by Darth Maul, because first of all, how can you not like him? I mean,
Liam Neeson.
Liam Neeson's awesome.
So the thing about this is that if he had not died at the hands of Darth Maul, we would have no Darth Vader. We would have no other movies to follow that with, because he wouldn't have turned out that way.
Yes, absolutely. And possibly one of the coolest songs of any Star Wars soundtrack. Just listen to that. I can't play all of it. Did you know that there are lyrics to this?
No, now I do.
I mean, how awesome is that soundtrack, right?
It's going to be bad every time they play the hockey games. Now I'm going to think of the words on the
Korra, Donya, Korra, Ratama. It's awesome. I had no idea the lyrics of this, but at any rate, craziness.
Number 3.
Here we are, number 3.
You may fire when ready.
Luke destroying the Death Star. Probably one of the coolest special effects scenes ever. The trench run. As a kid, I remember seeing this on VHS because I didn't see the first movie. How cool was that? What? Han Solo to the rescue. So good.
You're all clear, kid. Now let's blow this thing and go home.
There it goes. Down the torpedoes. Boom. And then the explosion. Awesome. What a great climax to a near perfect film.
Great shot, kid. That was 1 in a million.
Remember, the Force will be with you, always.
That was awesome. To this day, just what a great scene. Finally, the boy becomes a man. I used to run around crazy like a kid and in my little T-16, out there in Beggar's Canyon, shooting womp rats, and then here you are blowing up the Death Star. There you go. Very nice. Very nice indeed. Okay. Can you believe it? We have 2 more scenes left, Kristen.
Yes.
Number 2.
Tell everybody about this. What's the scene?
This is Obi-Wan and Anakin fighting on
Mustafar. Very right.
I have failed you, Anakin. I have failed you. I should have known the Jedi were plotting to take over. Anakin, Chancellor Palpatine is evil. From my point of view, the Jedi are evil. Well, then you are lost.
What a crazy scene.
Yep.
Once again, just
This is the end for you, my master.
awesome. The fighting, absolutely incredible. Here we go. Oh, here's.
You underestimate my power. Don't try it.
Yep.
That gotta hurt. Right, here's the line of lines.
You were the chosen one. It was said that you would destroy the Sith, not join them. Bring balance to the Force, not leave it in darkness.
Well,
As he gets left there to die.
Well, yeah, well,
Which
as he gets
doesn't
left there,
happen.
it doesn't happen, of course, right? Oh my goodness, yeah.
At
what a
least
great
not
scene.
yet. He doesn't die yet.
It's like, yeah, I would say like the last 30 minutes of that is literally some of the most epic things of all the prequels. You know, if you were to trim out everything from and just leave it as, you know, for the prequel trilogy to basically Qui-Gon meeting up with Anakin and then Qui-Gon getting killed by Darth Maul and then getting trained by Obi-Wan all the way to Attack of the Clones, and then you move to Order 66, and then you move to that literally you could really condense everything in like 30 minutes and just leave that epic scene at the end. And that's the whole prequel trilogy without any filler. You know, it's just, it's
The
what a
Cliff
scene.
Notes version.
The Cliff Notes version. It's a great scene.
You know, speaking of Cliff Notes versions, this is completely off topic, but I wonder if they still make Cliff Notes.
They do.
They do. Okay.
They do. They still do. Absolutely. Although you could get the Cliff Notes just by watching YouTube these days. You could
Exactly.
just,
That's true. You don't even need to read the
you
Cliff
know,
Notes.
Yeah, I need to read Catcher in the Rye for summer reading. Well, you know, just, you know, check it out on YouTube.
Man, why didn't they have that when I was a kid? YouTube. That would have made things so much easier than having
for
to buy.
summer reading.
Oh, I
You
never
miss a whole
did.
lot. You miss a lot.
I never did the summer reading. I was the kid that bought the Cliff Notes because I didn't like. I was so bored I couldn't read them. It would drive me crazy. My attention span wasn't long enough. I'd try and read, and I'd be like, "No, not reading this." Okay, Cliff Notes.
There were some good books in the summer reading.
Like,
Well, first of all, Catcher in the Rye is good. I enjoyed that. We're on a tangent here, folks. I also enjoyed Native Son by Richard Wright. That was good.
that wasn't on the thing
Good,
I was
good,
supposed to
good
read.
stuff. Good stuff right there. Any rate, we are here. We are at the number one live action moment of Star Wars. Kristen and I had hashed out a list. This is the Disney list, of course, and we're at the number one.
Number one.
Yet realize your importance. You have only begun to discover your power. Join me, and I will complete your training. With our combined strength, we can end this destructive conflict and bring order to the galaxy. I'll never join you! If you only knew the power of the dark side. Obi-Wan never told you what happened to your father. He told me enough. He told me you killed him. No. I am your father.
That's not true. That's impossible.
Search your feelings. You know it to be true. Luke, you can destroy the Emperor.
So good.
He has foreseen this.
So good, Kristen.
I have a comment.
Go ahead.
I have to say, the Skywalkers in general, they always, the boys are just kind of bratty when you think about it. Like long term. I mean, look, Anakin, he was bratty.
A little bit.
kind of, he's kind of bratty. And
Little
who
bit.
else is bratty? Kylo Ren. He
Ben
was bratty.
Solo.
Yeah. Skywalkers.
Skywalker.
Kind of
bragginess,
whiny,
right?
bratty kids.
A little bit. Little bit of emo there. Little emo in the Skywalker line. I guess they're big fans of My Chemical Romance.
I do get, though, now that I'm thinking, I have thought about your statement about people not seeing, like, we know people who haven't seen them. Well, we know people who haven't seen all of them. I mean, one of them is sitting in the room with us.
Right.
But I have an answer to why some people have not seen all of them.
Okay.
And that would be that some people, like my sister, for example, doesn't like sci-fi movies. When we were growing up in my group, my mom would always watch the original Star Trek. Neither her or I got into it. But she's never gotten into, like, even to this day when my mom watched sci-fi movies, because she will sit and watch the movies with my mom and then at the end go, I didn't like the movie. But she's not a sci-fi person.
Well, Star Wars is less science fiction than it is fantasy, because it's more like that, because you have a wizard, you have a knight, you have, the dastardly villain, those type of archetypes. You've got the two plucky sidekicks. That's more fantasy than science fiction. Science fiction is hardcore Star Trek. Like, that is real science fiction right there, So at any rate, it's a little bit different, but you still watched it. I mean, you're not big into Star Trek, but I did eventually win you over with a little bit of that Star Trek Voyager to start you on your way. Plus, you like Patrick Stewart.
That's not Voyager, by the way.
I know, but
Next Generation.
Yes, but no.
Oh,
but I
like,
started you on Voyager with Janeway first. That was your.
I would sit through it, but see, we also had deals too, that I would sit through certain things with you in order for you to sit and watch All My Children. Like, it was like one of those like compromise things.
Yes, absolutely.
Oh, I know you've watched all the old. Lori wanted me to make sure that I let people know that she has watched all of the original ones.
Okay, Lori, did you like the
very important to her.
Did you like the Star Wars movies, the original ones? Yeah, she's okay. She says yes. Well,
she doesn't like Rogue One. She said watch Rogue One with Mom and did not like it. Mom loved it. She was like, eh.
Did you watch the prequels? No. Would you watch the new ones? Yeah, maybe. I
think she needs to watch the one when Anakin's a little boy.
Okay, so start with the prequels.
Yeah, because I think she would like the Darth Maul fight. I think she would think that was pretty cool.
I think she would like the Star Wars films, because I mean, especially.
And Jar Jar Binks is entertaining. He does add a comic element to it that I think she would appreciate. That.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I mean, there's some good bits of humor in the Star Wars films, and I love the Star Wars films for what they are. There's drama. It's about family drama. There's a lot of there's science fiction elements to it, but a lot more fantasy. And the characters, they just grow on you, And to this day, Kristen, you still love Chewbacca. Chewbacca's still the best, right?
Baby Yoda. I do like Chewbacca.
Chewbacca, Baby Yoda.
I'm gonna have to go with the Baby Yoda.
If you had
cuteness is like too much cuteness.
Too much cuteness.
It's like Baby Groot kind of cuteness.
It's Baby Groot levels of cuteness for sure. Absolutely.
Kitten cuteness.
Well, everybody, that wraps up our Disney list. Our number one uncontested, probably for many people, Empire Strikes Back being the number one film of their Star Wars watching experience. But that's for another list. There's so many more lists to explore, and thank you for joining us on this episode of the Disney List. Kristen, where can people find you?
At diningatdisney.com. Make sure you check out the Dining at Disney podcast, which is available on multiple platforms like Apple Podcasts and Spotify.
All right. You can find me, Aljon Go, on Instagram. And once again, the Disney List on Facebook. Don't forget to click that bell notification when we go live. You can also check us out on YouTube. We also have our on-demand show library. Thank you to Anchor Podcasts. So please check us out. Be like Lindsay, who's our top fan. She's been awarded the top fan badge, and she is contributing to the show on a monthly basis, and you can too. It's quick and easy. All you have to do is seek out the Disney List on Anchor and donate. $1, $5, $10 a month. And we're slowly working on some really cool things. If you happen to be patronizing, if you're a patron of this show, don't be patronizing. Just be a patron of the show. And we'll get you involved in some really cool things.
If you are a donor to the show.
If you're donating to the show. I'm thinking Lindsay probably should have key access to all of our show archives, which I had up initially, and then I took them all down. So if you want more of the old WDW Tiki Room show, of all of our interviews with Ashley Eckstein, interviews with Zach Morris and Amy, who else was on there? Gosh, I'm trying to remember, but I know we interviewed Zach Morris, Jean-Paul Gosselaar, right?
Mark-Paul
Gosselaar. Oh, God. Jean-Luc Picard. Anyway, I'm losing my mind. It's been a long weekend, guys, and it's not even done yet. So
no, it's only day 2. You still have one more day.
Absolutely crazy.
But everybody also has to make sure they check out our friends WD Park Hoppers, because Park Hopper Sid and Park Hopper John are now back at Disney Springs doing their live broadcast on Thursday night, 7 p.m. Eastern. And now that Disney Springs is open, you can check them out. Again, as I had mentioned earlier, Park Hopper Sid is going to be on Dining at Disney this week in a bonus episode.
All right. I like it. So thank you so much for tuning in. And I'm Aljon.
And I'm Kristen.
And we'll see you real soon. May the Force be with you.
Drink Corona, don't spread
Disney
it.
Company or its holdings, and is intended for entertainment purposes.
All right, gang. Thank you so much for tuning into the show. Hope you enjoyed our big Disney list of Star Wars, and we will see you next week. Take care. Bye everyone.
So I think we should have Lori on some point to talk about